Thanks for clicking on this Inland Sports video. If you're a local business or an organization and you'd like to promote here on the Inland Sports Show, just send us an email, inlandsportsshow@gmail.com. And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show. He is the head coach of the CBU softball team, coming off a big tournament down in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It is Mike Smith as we go inside the Lancers. And Coach Smith got some big wins down in Mexico. You probably learned some things about your team. Before we get to the no-hitter and the home runs and all that good stuff, what are some takeaways from this tournament that you think you can use going forward now into the season about your team?
I think probably the number one is, as you prepare, you're always playing against your team. So you don't really know how good you are or how good you're capable of being by just playing your team all the time. So having across the way when you're playing inter-squad, you're playing the exact same players. Your hitters are really good or they're really bad because your pitchers know them. So it was finally great to have other uniforms, other colors across the dugout. And so you really don't know. And our players really got a chance to step up, play some of the top teams in the country. And I think they realized pretty quickly that they could play with anybody at any time. And I think that really catapulted us after game one against North Carolina to really just play through the tournament and play a lot of those Power Fives.
So the wins against the Power Fives was Maryland and Wisconsin. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
So Coach, huge wins down at that tournament. But what, in terms of just like the intangibles, the team bonding, like being together, playing, internationally, going down to Mexico, being around the team constantly, traveling together, living together, eating together. I mean, does that help early on in the season to kind of bring that team together a little bit more?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we stay in a hotel that's all inclusive. You're there all the time. We don't really leave to go anywhere except to and from the game. You're hanging out maybe at the pool. You're doing study hall. So we're all together. Families are there. It was really a great time for us to kind of get together, hang out, learn more about each other. You get to know your players throughout fall and spring, but it was kind of in a different scenario. I really got to know our players in a little bit different light. Some on the comedy side, some kind of came out of their shells. But really learned a lot about how they compete at a high level. And I was utterly impressed with the way our team played this weekend. Our question mark coming into this weekend was how good of a defensive team we were going to be, especially on a neutral field. Usually those fields out there are really hard. You just don't know how they play. And knock on wood, we didn't make any errors the entire weekend. Which was awesome for us. And I think that's what kept us in ball games, gave our pitchers an opportunity to keep the game close. And it put pressure on our offense to try to put the ball in play and make them make bad plays. And that happened a lot in the Maryland game, where I think they made 3 or 4 errors in that game. So I just think it was a great experience for everybody, not just the softball side, but from a team chemistry side and a staff side as well.
All right, Coach. So a couple big wins and some, milestone moments at this tournament as well. Let me start with the leadoff home run because, like you pointed out before we started the interview, it was the first runs of the college softball season. It was the first home run. It was her college, debut, her first at bat. Can you talk about just that moment in that first game of the year?
Yeah, it was surreal. I think Haley McClenny, star at Alabama and played for Team USA. She actually did a short little podcast on TikTok and mentioned that and saying that is just crazy. Like every kid's dream, their first game in college to hit a home run. And it just happened to be that we played early enough in a 2-hour time zone different, whereas the first runs scored in the 23 season and the first home run scored. And then of course our first at bat. So it was great for Amanda. She has a disability and not that changed anything, but I think it was just a great human interest story that no matter who you are, where you come from, what nationality, what race, what disability you have, that sky's the limit for you. And it's just great for Amanda, her family, and really CBU. I mean, our Twitter, our social media accounts blew up. It was awesome. And then, of course, what happened after the fact. But I was happy for Amanda, happy for our university. Of course, it was on the losing end of it, but she kind of got things started for us in 2023.
All right, so from Amanda's home run to Presley's no hitter, I mean, it was so many big plays for you at this tournament. Presley Hosick, a freshman, going in the circle and tossing a no hitter. What are your thoughts on her? What can we expect from her the rest of the season now?
Again, another kid's dream, a pitcher
Yeah.
who, every pitcher wants to be able to throw that no hitter. I think a couple of things is I really didn't even know she was throwing. I just never was. I was so focused on the game and what was going on with all aspects of it. I didn't realize she was throwing a no hitter, maybe because she walked a few players. But I didn't really know until after the game. I saw people going crazy, and I thought, okay, well, what's the Power Five win? But Brittany, our pitching coach, said, that was a no hitter, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize it. So I just thought from that standpoint for her, it was a dominating appearance that she had. And again, like I said, every kid's dream. I know Monica Abbott, who's a superstar, reached out to Presley on social media and said, inspiring. Again, another freshman opportunity to get the ball in the circle. And then against a Power Five, I just think it's a special moment for her.
So, Coach, as you go into your home opener against UC Riverside, I do want to talk about the Crosstown Showdown, but when you look at your squad as a whole, I recognize a lot of names from last season, but there's an influx of new names as well. Is it kind of a nice blend of returning players and some new talent coming into the program?
Yeah, we're about half and half this year. So half returning, half new. I think our recruiting class we had this year was really good for us. And I think some kids that can come in right away. Part of our recruiting philosophy is we want to recruit as good as, if not better, with what's in our program. And so for us, we want to try to be able to recruit freshmen and or transfers to be able to come in and start right away. Otherwise, we're not getting better as a program. So I really think that that's what we've done. Kudos to my staff and what they've been able to do, and really a great job for our young kids to be able to come in and win jobs. I don't think people realized last year we started 5 freshmen at one time. So those freshmen who are now sophomores are already battle tested for a year. So they already have that experience that maybe they wouldn't have gotten at another program. So I think we have a good mix. Of course, we talked about Amanda and Presley. You got Ashley Annette that's playing first base. Val Alvarez, who actually was a freshman last year, she blew out her knee the last game of fall ball. So she was able to catch. So she actually had her first game this year, even though she's her second year in school. Natalie Elias is a freshman coming in. She kind of spent a little bit of time out there. So we have some young kids that are going to get battle tested early that I think are going to give us some big time experience as we move forward into this year and into the future, and kind of developing that foundation and legacy for the program.
And Coach, is it exciting to have a chance to qualify for the NCAA tournament, to have like that big goal at the end of the regular season?
Yeah, that's the cherry on top. Last year was kind of tough because you really are just trying to play for a WAC championship, and we knew that was kind of it. But now we have that postseason eligibility standpoint. So I think that's just kind of got the fuel in the belly of all the players. That's kind of ultimately what we want to do, and not just really get there, but to make a statement, potentially win a regional and super, and of course get to the College World Series. I mean, it's the reason why I came back to CBU, is to be able to do that.
All right, and finally, Coach, the big home opener coming up at Funk Stadium against UC Riverside, the Crosstown Showdown. It's a big deal anyways because it's the home opener, but to get to play the Highlanders in that home opener. Are you excited to have a packed stadium and renew that rivalry with UCR?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get to play your crosstown rival, a lot of these girls went to school together. They played travel ball together. So I'm sure that there's a good mix of people that are understanding what's going on. So I think it's going to be great. I know Coach Palmer, Nikki real well. We go back. So it's just great. We see each other out recruiting. We're recruiting a lot of the same kids. So it's going to be fun. I think this is last year we played them around the same time. So I think this is going to be kind of the annual time that we play them, that first week or two in the season. But we get to host we get to host them there. Last year we beat them in extras last year. So we're hoping we don't have to go to extras to beat them this year, but I think it's going to be great. I think we're going to have a great crowd, home opener. I think there was some excitement on CBU softball with this weekend.
Yeah.
We're going to have to battle with basketball playing at home tomorrow night, but I think we have kind of our own crowd, and I think we'll have
Yeah.
a pretty good showing moving forward. Of course, then into the weekend for our first home tournament.
Yeah, there's certainly a buzz around the program for you guys with that big tournament, grabbing all those headlines with the first home run and the no-hitter and all that stuff. So I think people are excited about CBU softball right now. Coach Smith, I really appreciate the time. Best of luck the rest of the season. Best of luck against UCR this upcoming week, and hopefully we can do this again soon. I'll see you out there at Funk Stadium.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Lance up, everybody.
You got it. That is Mike Smith, the head softball coach for CBU, as we go inside the Lancers here on the Inland Sports Show.